So I welcome you all, and many more are about to join us. So we'll be accepting us, and I welcome you all for this webinar today. So here, first of all, I take this opportunity to welcome you all and introduce our team who is here. So I'll start with Mr. Satya. So here, Mr. Satya. Hi, Satya.
Hello, hi.
Okay, so to brief about Satya, he has started his own company called Change Makers, and in association with Attitude Redefined, we have started this show. And our first guest and our mentor, I welcome Mr. Kranti sir over here.
Thank you, Bilal. Thank you very much for having me.
And I welcome all of our panelists over here as well as the audience. And we'll be moving ahead with the topic of general economy. So,
first thing to add about the COVID-19 impact on Indian economy. We thought of expanding it and knowing from people across the world about how their countries are managing with COVID-19. And today to the show, we are very lucky to have Mr. Abdul Razak from Zanzibar, Tanzania. He's an advocate, and thank you very much, Abdul Razak, for joining. We have Mr. Victor Larian. Hi, Abdul Razak. Great to have you today.
Hi.
Hi. And we have Mr. Victor Larian from Tanzania. He's assistant accountant. Thank you, Victor, for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And we have very famous Tamia Alberta Kosa from Mozambique. Thank you, Mr. Tamia, for joining us. He was
Hello, sir.
former employee to Vodacom, Mozambique. Now I wish him great success for his new venture. We'll be joining a new company tomorrow. And we also have Mr. Hussein Afsan from Maldives. Thank you very much, brother, for joining us here.
Oh, yes.
We also have, hi Hussein, hi. Great to have you. Thank you very much for joining from Maldives.
Thank you for letting me join.
And we have Mr. Nigel Horu from Seychelles Island. And hi Nigel. Good afternoon. So friends, like we have many participants here, the audience. I welcome the audience for the webinar show, and hope you will. And let's start our discussion about the COVID-19, the impact on world economy and business. We'll start from Mr. Abdul Razak, who is advocate and consultant from Zanzibar.
Kwa tunakwenda kuangalia Simba na
Simba
hamna kitu.
Maji alishaja. Ni ile au?
Zitoka nchi za Sudan.
So can you share about the general sense of your economy and how your economy is impacted because of COVID? Abdul Razak from Zanzibar.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Did you hear my question?
Just a simple suggestion first.
Yeah.
If anyone is speaking, I think it's better he mutes his mic because there's interference.
Lakini sasa hivi wameshapiga.
So let's see.
Wewe unaongea hapa hata mtu kama pale gari zinapita.
Mute? Hapo ndio mute.
Nimemute.
Video
pia nimemute.
Other participants to please.
I'm muted. So Mr. Razak, we have muted everyone. So you are on.
Yeah. Can you share the general economy of your country and also about how your economy is impacted due to COVID-19?
Hello, good afternoon from Tanzania. From Tanzania, Zanzibar. First, I would love to introduce what Zanzibar is. maybe to most people they don't know what Zanzibar is, like it's from which part of the world or which part of the continent and stuff like that. So my name is Abdul Razak. I'm a lawyer and a legal consultant as well. I'm from Zanzibar. Zanzibar is an island in Tanzania. Specifically, it's in eastern part of Africa. So as you know, Tanzania is made up of two. It's a Republic Union of Tanzania, which is made up of Zanzibar and Tanganyika. So the part of Zanzibar is a semi-autonomous island. That's where I'm from. So yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we are listening.
Yeah. So I would love to. Sorry again. I would love to, Mr. Kranti. Can you please repeat your question so I can proceed with it?
It's about like how your economy is managed, and can you please share how your economy is impacted due to this COVID-19?
Yeah. So in brief, where I come from, in past few years, we've been relying. Our economy has been relying heavily from tourism because it's an island. So most of our income and everything, and most of the investors coming to Zanzibar have been relying.
Yeah, Razak. So
Hello.
it's an island. Yes, yes, brother.
So we've been relying heavily on. Excuse me.
Yes, yes,
We can
yes.
hear you, sir. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
yes,
very
yes.
perfect.
So yeah, our economy has been relying heavily on tourism industry. So I think it's gonna be a game changer or a turning point in Zanzibar, knowing that we cannot on one source of income. Of course, we had other source of income, but tourism was the priority in Zanzibar. A lot of investment in tourism industry, a lot of improvement and everything to improve on this sector. So the outbreak of coronavirus has really brought about an effect in Zanzibar economical because it led in a lot of closure of many operation in many sectors, especially in tourism. For instance, like so the company, there were no operation, the hotels and everything, there was no operation because the corona thing does not only depend on our effort or anything, but it's a worldwide thing or work. But other countries have closed their borders. So we tourists past like 3 our borders are open for other people to come in, but the countries are closed. I think we were one among the like last places to close down our borders to invite people to come in because we like it was a mixed feeling. What if we close down the industry now? If we say like there's no tourists coming in, what will happen? What will happen to people, investors, and every business? Because most of the things relied heavily on tourism industry. So I must say, Corona outbreak was big, was a big impact in Tanzania, or Zanzibar economy in general. But again, like I would also say it was a game changer and a turning point, a learning point to this part of the world, like Zanzibar, because in Tanzania again, like I would also say time we need to see on other way to invest and to encourage other source of income or other industries to grow up rather than only relying on tourism, because tourism as a source of income, it does only depend with internal factors of the country, but also external factors. As I said before, for instance, we open the borders for people to come in, but other countries have closed their borders with internal factors of the country. But also, so the industry was totally, it was totally down, and I think so. It's a good learning point on my point of view. Otherwise, so we didn't really have a lockdown as what we saw in most of the countries have done because we again come back to the same point. If the industry, like the main source of income, or revenue in Zanzibar, it's already closed down. For instance, the port, importation, and tourism, it's already closed down. What will happen if we put a lockdown? How will operation go? How will people survive? How will the island survive? You know what I mean? So it was like we didn't really put a lockdown. We were educated on measures to take during this time. Of course, we avoid the crowd and everything, and wearing masks, you know, taking all these preventive measures, but we couldn't put a lockdown. Maybe at my point of view, it was because of this. It was a mixed feeling, like if we close everything and we put on lockdown, how will the island survive in general?
Okay.
You understand what I mean? So it was a big impact, but I must take this as we must take this as a challenge and a turning point to the whole industry, and of course a challenge to the government to see on other ways how on other sectors that we should improve. We should not forget other sectors, uh, like tourism is a big source of income revenue, yes, but of course the government should now invest in other sectors as well to avoid such scenes to happen again. Yeah. So we really had an economic breakdown, but everything was going on well. We took measures, but there was no complete lockdown. We were just advised to take preventive measures and stuff, but there was no complete lockdown. And I must say, like, we thank God, like, I think we are doing good. We are doing good. We don't have much cases in Zanzibar, but rather we should take it as a lesson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's on my side.
Now we move to Seychelles to hear from Ms. Nigel Oru about the condition from Seychelles Island. So, Mr. Nigel.
Hello.
Nigel, hi, how are you? Good evening. Hi, great to have you.
It's good afternoon on my side.
Good afternoon.
It's good afternoon on my side.
Thank you.
And
Thanks
good
for
evening
joining.
from India.
Thanks for joining, Nigel. And the question
Thank you for inviting me.
we want to know about, like, how your country is framed in terms of economy, and how your country's economy is affected due to this COVID-19.
Well, first to start with, I just want to share my condolences to you guys. You are second now, the most COVID country.
Yeah,
It's really sad news to hear.
fifth place now.
Yeah. As for us, we've had, since up till now, we've had only 11 cases, and all have been not cured as such, but we are COVID free as of now.
Good.
We don't know in the near future, like, how will it be, because as of 1st of June, we opened our borders again to welcome flights. So we don't know yet for how long we will be COVID free, but for now we are COVID free.
Good.
Yeah. And for us, the COVID situation started early February. We had a couple from Italy who came, and they tested positive for COVID-19. And since from there, we've had a partial lockdown, not a partial, but a major lockdown of our country as from the 18th of March up till last week, which everything was back to not normal as such, but the new normal, as they say. It was the new normal. So
Nigel,
as of
during this lockdown, how the economy in your country got affected? You said partial or more than partial. The lockdown was there from March. So how was the general economy of your country was affected?
yeah, because initially when there was the first case, it was like not a cause for concern, because it was not actually we haven't had community spread infection. It was only foreigners coming into the country who had COVID-19, who had the virus. So for us, initially, when we first got the case, it was not community, so there was no intention for the government to lock down the country as such. Flights were still coming in, tourists were still coming in, And like Zachary was saying, we as an island are very much dependent on tourism
Hmm.
and imports as well. 80% of what we consume is from imports. So for our economy, being a major dependent country of tourism industry,
Mhm.
it started affecting us because, like I said, we didn't have much cases, but other countries who, especially European countries, who comes to our country were experiencing lockdowns. They were experiencing high levels of the virus, of people getting the virus. So for us, even if we didn't have much of the spread initially, we saw the tourism industry starting to get impacted. We saw many bookings of hotels, of guest houses starting to decline. The bookings were there, the people hadn't canceled their bookings, but flights were limited coming in the country, and tourists were limited coming into the country. So you found that initially the tourism businesses got affected. I'm talking like the wholesalers who distribute to hotels only, the people who rely on the tourism sector to function, like bus transfers, taxis, all these small sectors, all these small industries, they initially started to get affected. But the country as a whole was still functioning. Businesses, the normal businesses were still open. The it was normal. The shops were open. Everything was not really normal like the new word is, but it was a new normal. We were
Nice.
getting accustomed to.
Summarize, to summarize whatever you said. So most of what I understand is anything related to tourism. All the businesses related to tourism were the ones which got
Yes, yes,
affected in our country, and the rest of the
yes.
businesses did not see much of the impact. Right?
Yes, initially, like I said, initially the tourism was the main sector who got affected. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
as because initially we had two cases, then it came to three, then it came to four, and up till 11, then we had to do a lockdown.
Okay.
So
Ladies and
during the
gentlemen,
lockdown, it was the,
to the other
sorry?
panelists.
Yeah,
We
we'll
will
move to
move
the
to the
other
other panelists.
We'll get back to
We'll
you.
take their opinion as well, and again we'll get back to you for the
No
discussion.
problem.
So,
Thanks.
sir,
Okay, okay.
To Hossa now from Mozambique. Damia Hossa from Mozambique. Can we have Damia Hossa online?
hello, Mr. Costa.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we can
Costa.
hear you.
So, Hossa, can you please
Yes,
share your inputs about your economy and what dependence on your economy, and also like how this economy of Mozambique got affected due to COVID-19?
okay. Thank you, sir. Definitely, the economy was affected due to coronavirus. We had the first case. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Yes, yes. So we had the first case on March, and currently we have 409 cases. The country is not in lockdown. I can say partial lockdown. International flights were cancelled. Since the country right now had a negative trade balance, it means that we rely more on imports than exports. So the borders with our neighbors such as Tanzania, Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Eswatini, South Africa, they're opened. But most of the imports come from South Africa, and South Africa was in lockdown.
Okay.
So that made inflation in some products because we had a shortage of products in the country. So the country is experiencing right now this difficulty, but the biggest challenge at the moment is inflation, because we rely more on imports and on South Africa, which was the only country on our neighbors that was in lockdown. Since that almost 50% of the population lives below the poverty line, the country was not able to lock down. Why? It means that the most of the population are daily wages. They receive wages in daily, if they don't go to work, they're not able to receive any amount, and with that, they will not be able even to have a dinner. So the country cannot be in lockdown. So currently, we are taking some preventive measures only. There are limited number of people who can be in same place at workplace. But in these 3 first months, the economy just grew like 1.6%, while last year it was like 3 point something percent. So the economy is in trouble now, but not a big deal because we are able to survive. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Kosa.
Mr. Kosa.
Now we'll have Mr. Hussein on the Maldives.
Mr. Hussain.
Yes.
Yes. Sir, good evening. Thanks for
Good
joining.
evening.
You're the senior panel member among all of us.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Hussain.
Can you please share your opinion about the Maldivian economy and how this Maldivian economy got affected?
Yeah. So we had our first case in March. So since then we have been basically in a lockdown, and on a in April we found the first case in the capital city. Since then it has been a full lockdown. So all the businesses are basically affected, and since we are also a country basically relying on tourism mostly, like we don't have any other industries that big in the country. So tourism contributes to the GDP the most. So tourism is very much impacted because all the borders have been closed to our country. Or the very few, like some flights are coming in, but they're only carrying Maldivians who are stranded abroad. So we don't have any tourists. So uh, the economy is very much affected due to the coronavirus. And recently, yes,
Of Maldives as of now.
sorry.
What is the situation today in Maldives?
Like there are 1,900 cases as of today, and 763 of them have recovered from, and 7 deaths so far. But I guess it is getting under control because now the government is talking about easing the lockdown. And now the easing phases have started. Like the Minister of Tourism has announced that they will open the borders in July. So I guess we will see what happens.
Okay, thank you. We'll get back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Hussain.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Login from Tanzania. He's an accountant working for a firm in Tanzania. Hi,
Yes,
Victor.
yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Victor.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Can you please share your thoughts about how the business in Tanzania got affected and the problems that the business facing today?
Oh, okay. I'll just share maybe a little brief of the before COVID and after COVID. I will say just a little bit. Basically, the first case was actually realized on the 16th of March. That was the first patient that was confirmed positive from coronavirus. Actually, it was a person who came. I think he was a traveler. I think she was one of the lady from. She's a Tanzanian, but she was from Belgium, I guess. That was the first case confirmed. Then later on, it wasn't really taken that it could have been very serious, maybe because we didn't know the impact at that moment. Then later on, the cases started shooting like to 3, 4, and then later on, the government took some strategies to revoke all the public, for instance, all the public events that are to make sure that people were in distance and to ensure that most of the cases, so that to just take hold of all the people who had interaction, the people who are confirmed with the positive cases of COVID. So in terms of business wise, I would say because we never had a lockdown, I would say we never had a lockdown in Tanzania. That it was never, the government has never confirmed that we have a lockdown. It's just a strategy that most of the business and most of the people have taken precaution on their own. So it's just been kind of a partial lockdown for everybody. And in terms of business now and the economy, I would say for us, locking down of the airports, for instance, the ports were closed. It's not much. It's not much of an impact in the economy because, for instance, the Tanzania mainland. So because Abdulrazak spoke about Zanzibar a little bit. For Tanzania mainland, tourism is almost it contributes only 9% of the GDP. So it wasn't large. It wasn't much of an impact for us in tourism. But I would say a little bit of slowdown in the projects. Currently, the government had a lot of projects that were ongoing. The standard gauge, wherever, a lot of projects that were ongoing. The railway, the standard gauge railway, which is one of the big projects currently, and some other projects which are running, which were, I would say, the rate had dropped from because the rate was almost stated to be 6.9, but since the beginning of COVID, it had dropped to almost 2.6%. So it was kind of a slowdown on most of the projects, and those projects were kind of involving a lot of labor, and those labor are the ones who really expect the day-to-day work, and that's the day-to-day work which is where they gain their incomes. And the main reason that the government really didn't emphasize on lockdown because I would say a large number of people depend on the day-to-day wages for their survival. And so the government, if they would have initiated the lockdown, even if it was a partial, then that would have been really that would have been really bad to the economy because it would have been much more cases rather than the COVID impact. So I would say in business wise, I would say maybe I would say there's a short of supply. It's a little bit shortage of supply because most of the people now they started consuming most of the items. I mean most of the products so that they would fight the COVID, meaning the items that would help them to fight the COVID, meaning food that would help them to fight to maintain, so that would have more vitamin C, meaning these lemons, oranges, ginger, wherever that people saw those items were a little bit of the consumption was really high because people are also trying to buy things in panic. So that even before when the cases started, so people started buying things in panic. So the supply was kind of in shortage. The price didn't inflate. The price was only inflated in sugar, which was a little bit because there were some strategies that were done by the government to restrain that because there was a shortage of sugar in the country because most of the industry had closed down because of the rainy season. So usually they close down because of the rainy season. So that did impact the citizens in a bit because the supply of sugar also did drop, but it was subsequently brought by because most of those kind of the government actually did initiate the import of sugar for just to make sure that it covered the necessity the deficit that had occurred at that moment. So basically in business wise, I would say the day-to-day business was also ongoing. The economy in large, maybe I would say after a long range, maybe would see the impact in business. But I would say most of the impacted are the small and medium business. But I would say the large business not really that much. I would say, for instance, for me on my side, telecom is not much impacted because mostly it was more of making sure the service was up, so it wasn't really much impacted like straight away. So I would say the economy was just, I would say it's a little bit moving. The lockdown really hasn't been much of an impact, and I would say the government not initiating the lockdown has been much of a good impact for us and for the business and for the economy as well. Because if that was done, then it would have been bad on our side. But nevertheless, the government really initiated a lot of awareness to the community, a lot of awareness sessions, making sure that all the media just trying to emphasize on precautions that will make sure that the COVID-19 spread is highly taken care. And I would really say, and also the government did take some of the measures because it was realized some of the equipment that were used for testing, they are actually not really valid because there are some kind of, because they were tested that or because there are samples of there are samples of goat as well as I remember sample of a goat and the sample of a papaya that was taken, and they also turned into positive, which really brought a lot of questions. So the investigation started up and tested. I mean, all the tests were on hold till when this investigation was on, because they had to push away the investigation first, because also meaning all the lab tests were on hold till today, meaning from the 29th or the exam or 29th of April, all the test results were on hold, awaiting for the investigation. And I would say so far, because the government has also given me out the numbers of all the patients who are there, because at that time the number was almost 480 people who are confirmed with 408, and then later it was 509, I think 509, because it consolidated both Tanzania mainland and Zanzibar. In total, it was 509. So I would say, maybe I'll conclude by saying that the business in my business was I would say in business wise, mostly maybe the small and medium industry are the ones who have much been impacted, but not in that margin that I would say people would shut down their business or whatever, because the lockdown was not there and business was as usual and all the precautions were taken care. So it was, on my side, I would say it was really
Excellent, Mr.
great.
Vikram. Thank you very much for the input. So we will again go back to Mr. Abdul Razak. So Mr. Abdul Razak.
Mr. Abdul Razak is also a lawyer. Okay. So let's get some information about how the labor laws in Tanzanian countries protected by the government.
Yeah. Mr. Abdul Razak,
can we have you?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Abdul Razak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. The only thing is we want to see you here. So if you turn on your video.
Yeah, brother, you are here now. Can you please share how the labor laws in your country are protected by the government? How the migrant workers and the laborers are being treated at this particular point of time?
Especially the daily wage.
Okay. So on that of my perspective, so when a force majeure happen, and this is a force majeure, it's an act of God where no one can control it. So for sectors like tourism and hotels and stuff, restaurants that have been shut down, of course, they would not be able to pay day to day all the salaries to their workers. So how you're supposed to go about the HR or the hotel or the respective sector needs to write a letter or a notice to the worker that has to be revised by the labor code.
Mm-hmm.
That okay, this is a proper reason, it's a force majeure, and it's true that this hotel does not operate. So these workers have to be given a how do you say this? Unpaid leave.
Okay.
They are not removed from work, but they are going to be given unpaid leave. like they're going to be on leave for maybe a month or 2 months without pay, or with some companies with enough funds, they're going to offer a half pay salary for the respective period until the government declares otherwise. But the hotels were shut down, so there was no operation. So the waiters and other housekeeping and staff were not, the companies were not able to pay them. So you need to write a notice to them, and you need to CC the labor court or the labor commissioner. They should approve that yes, the company has no enough funds now to keep on paying the workers, and they're going to have unpaid leave. You do not expel them from work totally. It's just unpaid leave for a certain period, and they should come back to work after everything is over. So in the contracts here, the labor contracts, they include these force majeure terms, mostly in Zanzibar, especially for the tour operation companies, for instance, hotels and stuff. They include this clause. Whenever this happens, it's an act of God, and we are of no, like, it's not in our hand to control this. You understand? It's a worldwide crisis. So you need to give a notice and CC to the labor commissioner, and they need to approve this, that yes, your company is not in the position to pay salary, so you can go ahead and give them unpaid leave.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
One request,
Razak.
one request to all the panel members, that like we are taking a break for 5 minutes now. We are going to send you the one more login ID and password for Zoom meeting, and we are going to resume the meeting in another 10 minutes
from now.
10 minutes from now, because we have some more people joining us. And please make yourself available
For the second session.
for the second
Second session. And I would request all the participants, to message us, any one of us, for the new login ID and credentials. And after 10 minutes of break, we'll be back again. We'll continue with the discussion.
Please make yourself available.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
And kindly message any one of us for the new login credentials.
And we'll proceed with the second of the discussion now.
Yeah.
And over to Satyakirti.
Yeah.
Hello. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the second session. I hope Nigel, you're there. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes,
Yes.
Nigel. So we did hear a lot about the economy and what is happening with the tourism sector and small and medium businesses over there. Now let us throw some light on the stimulus packages which has been introduced by your government in order to empower the people as well as the what do you want to say on the what do you want to comment on?
When we had the lockdown, which was from I believe late March up until last week, which was the 1st of June.
Okay.
When everything started to go back to normal.
Okay.
Initially, during lockdown, there were some like I was saying, some businesses still had to operate. Like we're talking about the telecom businesses, the utility businesses. These were deemed as essential services. They had to operate to keep the country running. And during the lockdown, we saw that all the schools were closed. Most of the businesses, like I said, which were non-essential, had to close down. So we found that many people were not really unemployed, but they were not working, and business got affected. So there was no cash flow. Businesses had to rely on savings or their contingency fees to pay the workers. So what happened was our president, he announced that no employee would go unpaid during up until June. So the salary, as per our president, was guaranteed for all private sector employees up until June.
Very good.
And the government, they came up with the financial assistance stimulus scheme, which when you apply as a business, when you apply, you either, if you self-employed, meaning you're not employed with any agency, you're your own business, or you could apply to pay for your payroll of your workers. So April, there was about 4,000 applicants who made the application for the stimulus package. However, there was a lot of issues with that, because we found that even if the president had guaranteed that all employees would be paid, some businesses did not benefit from the package. So some people, they up until now still have not gotten their salary. So you're talking about a salary of March, April, May, 3 months salary that they still have not yet received, because there were some discrepancies, there were some issues with that package that they offered. And on top of that, the to stabilize the country, because of the issue of the no tourism, our central bank had to step in, because we had no foreign exchange coming in the country. And as I said before, we rely heavily on imports.
Yeah.
So you saw that many businesses, they rely on foreign exchange in order to carry out their business. Regardless of if they tourism, they importing, export, they rely a lot on the foreign exchange for them to be able to do their business. So the central bank, they had to step in, and they had to tap in the reserve. Our reserve pre-COVID was around 500 million US dollars. So they had to take half of that to inject it into the economy in order to sustain the demand that was there, especially for the import business. Because like I said,
Actually,
even if we are
clarification from your side. Sorry to interrupt. So, was the package of the central bank, was it given to the demand side of the management or to the supply side of the
well, there were two. The foreign exchange reserve was placed within the economy itself, because there was the demand for the businesses to have foreign exchange. Like I said, there was no foreign exchange coming in. So the demand was there. So they had to inject that into the economy. As for the government initiative to assist the businesses, that that was solely on the government. They injected about 1.3 billion Seychelles rupees to be able to sustain that package. So that package, you had 3 months cover. So from April, May, and June, the salaries were guaranteed for that 3 months of all the private sector workers. But like I said, there was a lot of issues. There was delays in payments. There were some businesses that didn't really need that stimulus package, and yet they applied. And those businesses that needed the assistance, they didn't get it. So there was a lot of loopholes involved. And on top of that, they came out just last month. They have guaranteed again salaries of everyone up until December. So they extended the package up until December to cover the whole of the private sector of the workers.
Great work, great work.
That's amazing.
Nice to hear you from Nigel. Now we'll move on to Kosa. Can you please have Kosa online? Damia, Damia Kosa.
Yes, I
Yes.
am in.
Yes, Kosa. So we actually had a discussion on what are the losses the country faced, and what are the people and businesses lost. Now, can we understand much on what did your government introduce in order to prevent this pandemic situation? What was the stimulus package given by the government,
Basically towards economy and people,
to the people?
to keep them alive.
Thank you. Yes, the government focused more on small business enterprise. Why? Because they have limited capital, limited market, limited technology, and with this limited market, which now is facing these issues, so the government focused more on small business enterprise. What did they do? They cut off, like for example, electricity. They cut off by 50%. Okay, they're giving them this discount, 50%, and also they're subsidizing them. They're doing some subsidies in order to keep employees hired, because they saw that in the beginning, these small enterprises were firing the employees. So with this subsidy, the government is able to maintain people working. The other thing that was removed, like some tax were removed from them, and now they're not supposed to pay even water. They cannot pay water now, so they can keep going. So the government focus more on this kind. For the multinational companies, they have a huge capital, so, and the country is not in lockdown, so they're able to survive. So for this kind of companies, they are not supposed to terminate the contract. They cannot fire anyone. They have to, it's there in the law. So since they can survive in the economy, they're doing the job. Also, the government is trying to help people living below the poverty line. They have done like a survey to know who needs more, like in order to give priority to people. So they're able to give food at least for a month, but they focus more on those people who really needs it. So, but the biggest thing that I really liked was the subsidy for this small business enterprise. If we see now in this all thing, around 14,000 employees got affected, but they're able to receive at least 50% of their salary. For those businesses that even with subsidies, they're not able to survive. So they're giving them like 50%. Which kind of business? Like tourism, hotels, transportation, they can lose their job. So they give them at least 50%, even if they are at home.
At least
So this is what is going on in Mozambique. Yes.
that can keep them alive, the economy. It's a great job.
Sorry.
At least that can
Yeah.
help
Thank you.
people to a certain extent in the economy.
Yes. Yes.
Go
Yes. Yes.
towards
They will
sustainability.
help.
And
Yes.
Mr. Kosa, I had a question like Mr. Nigel said, like when the government announced schemes and everything, there was a little problem on the receiver side. They found a problem. So coming back to your country with the government taking all these steps, were there any hurdles which were faced to reach the economy, to reach the people with these schemes?
Yeah. Sure. Because in the beginning, the government did not have this plan. Okay. We were not expecting this because coronavirus started in January, and up to like 20 March, we had not even one case. So the government thought that the country was safe while it was not. Okay. So the government did not have a plan.
Okay.
And in some first weeks, people were losing job. These 14,000 that I was talking about, people were losing job, and also they were starting like to struggle that we cannot just stay at home. We need to do something. and they were just doing business and they were not protected. So when the government started to put these measures, the people understood, and now they are good with this decision, although it's just 50% of their salary, but it's good. And the other thing that I was forgetting, those people who lost their job, because there are people who lost their job, what government is doing, they're taking the cash from their social security for them. They're giving them this cash so they can keep surviving in the economy.
Excellent.
And one
And
more
Mr.
thing.
Nigel has a doubt. He has raised his hand. So I'm unmuting him. He wants to add up something. And he's been waiting. So yeah, Mr. Nigel.
Yeah, thank you. No, I just wanted to add on what Kosa said. Even our government, like I said, most businesses they were finding it hard to pay for salaries, to pay for utilities and all these things. So even we had not really an introduction on the utilities, but they had a stop. Like you could not, up until July, they still discussing. You cannot fire anybody. You cannot have redundancy in your companies. So mostly all the employees in the private sector, their jobs are more or less secured, unless you are working in the tourism sector, which mostly got affected. Then other companies they stepped in, like we have a company called IoT, which is a manufacturing fishing industry, and they had to cut half of the foreign workers because there were issues with the GOPs where the workers were going out of the country because most of the workers, either the contracts had been terminated prior to COVID or they got repatriated because no work, most countries they got repatriated to their homeland. So there was this gap to fill for the workers who were either temporarily, you can say temporarily unemployed, so they could at least they could get some salaries from some businesses which offered those packages as well.
Excellent to hear that, Mr. Nigel. So we will get back to Mr. Kosa. So Mr. Kranti sir had a doubt.
Kosa, like now you came back to your country from China.
Yes, yes.
How did Mozambique receive you there?
Okay. When I came back, I had to stay like 14 days at home. Okay. For quarantine, but it was not easy. It was not easy. People were still afraid. Like this guy has got the COVID-19. I remember that there was a day that I was on the street and a kid like 12 years old. She called her friend like, "Hey, coronavirus, come." So she could see me. So yes, in the beginning, some people were afraid. It's something natural. Uh, but the good thing that the companies, uh, they were not afraid because like in these few months, I was able even to get job. So yeah, only people on the street, some family, yes, they were afraid, and there's something which is normal.
It was great to know your experience. So moving back to Mr. Satya, yes, who are we calling next?
Hussein, you call Hussein.
Yeah, Mr. Hussain. He's not there.
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, so Hussein, welcome to the second session, and we all were discussing on cloud introduction of stimulus packages by the government for the people and the economy in order to tackle this situation, pandemic situation. What do you want to say on it?
Yeah. In our country also there is a stimulus package. The government has is in talks with the banks in the country, and they are giving loan moratoriums to everybody who has a loan in their banks. So like a lot of people have applied for these loan moratoriums, and they have received deferments of their payments for like 6 months.
Okay.
I think the payments will resume in September. So for now, that's what the moratoriums are offering. So then the government is also, like I said, the economy was very much impacted due to this coronavirus, and most of the employees in the tourism sector have lost their jobs. So the government is offering a stimulus of around $300 per month for the employees who lost their jobs or were sent to like on no pay leaves. So the government is helping out those employees, and also the government is giving loans for the small small businesses, SMEs. So I saw that in the president's address. He said that a lot of companies have applied for these loans, and they are being processed now, and they will be given to the company so that it would help them survive this pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
So that's basically the stimulus package.
Thank you, Mr. Hussain. Yes, Mr. Satya.
Go to Victor. We want to Victor. Specific question to Victor.
Yeah,
Yes,
Mr. Victor.
Yes, yes, sir.
Mr. Victor, you are like, thanks for joining for the second session, Victor. So I have a specific question about how did your business got benefited due to this coronavirus package which is given by the government of Tanzania?
Oh, okay. I would say mostly because the packages that I've done, I would say in terms of business, I'll speak about maybe let me speak out maybe what the packages that the government really did out. Firstly was the lowering of the statutory minimum reserve, which was actually before was 7%. Now it was reduced to 6% so that at least to increase the lenders so that they'll have more money, and also to increase the liquidity. And also the government also reduced the discount rate on which the commercial banks could borrow money from the central bank from around 7% to 5%, which means that will be a cheaper loans for them for the commercial banks, and which in turn when the commercial banks get back, then it will be easy for them to moderate to private sectors and customers wherever. Also, the commercial banks also are instructed to make the borrowings to the central bank, which was also less the collaterals, meaning with less collaterals than before, with the government securities from 10% to 5% for the treasury bills and 40% to 20% for the treasury bonds. So those are the three things that which really help the meaning which will gonna help the private sector as well as the customers. And also there's one strategy on the mobile banking. In Africa, mobile banking is really high. Like it's one of the leading. I would say one of the leading transactional wise. I would say in transactional wise, even it corresponds mostly like a bank. I would say mobile money transaction. It's just via the mobile money. I can send maybe Tanzanian shillings 3 million, which is I would say 1 lakh in 1 lakh rupees via mobile maybe from my mobile phone to a mobile phone, which was previously that was how the strategy was. But later on, the government instructed that because since to avoid the social distancing and as well as to maintain to ensure that we cope with this COVID. So they instructed the mobile operators, MNOs, the mobile network operators, to lower to increase their transaction or daily transaction from 1 lakh to almost to 1,60,000. So from 3 million Tanzanian shillings to 5 million Tanzanian shillings. So meaning that would increase if someone was able to transact in a day for a minimum of 3 million, then now he's able to transact to 5 million. So that will also decrease the move around, maybe going to the banks, going to somewhere else, just to make sure that to get sufficient amount. So the central bank instructed most of the mobile network operators to increase that amount from 3 million to 5 million, and also the limit of balance that mobile operator. The central bank instructed the mobile network operators to ensure that the balance that the balance that the balance that the customers would be able to retain in their account, from which initially was 5 million now to 10 million, which is almost, I would say, in rupees, it's like divided by 30, that's going to be around maybe 3 lakh rupees. So someone will be able to retain almost 3 lakh rupees in his mobile phone. So I mean, if it's kind of transaction, then a person is able to do transaction without going to the bank, without moving around. So those are kind of the tactics that the government initiated just to ensure that we cope with the COVID impact currently.
That's amazing, Mr. Victor. So we'll be
Yes,
moving
yes.
to Mr. Abdul Razak. So Mr. Abdul Razak, can we have you? Yeah, Mr. Abdul Razak, we would like you to
Hello.
video. Yeah.
Sir, can you tell us the general mood of the African nations about this COVID-19 now, and how the continent is doing, and when it is going to be completely open for the trade and the economy?
So I think I'm not in really good position to speak about the whole continent as Africa, because with the situation of COVID-19, every country took their own measures, and I'm not even in a position to speak on my neighbors as well, like Kenya and Uganda. Lauren must be knowing about this. All this stuff, everyone was taking their own measures. It was not something that we can go on. You understand? Hello.
Yes. We are able to hear you.
So I'll speak in Zanzibar because it's kind of, even in Zanzibar and the mainland, the whole Tanzania, the COVID-19 hit differently, because we both did not do lockdown, but at the end, the things, or our focus or our main source of income is quite different. What we depend in Zanzibar and Tanzania in general. As I said, like, we relied heavily on tourism industry. Of course, we felt the gift and the change of cost and the effect of COVID-19 because of the industry that it was all put focus on, which is tourism. And of course, uh, in other business like supermarkets and other business were running as normal. It's only the tourism industry was a bit shut down, because the hotels couldn't operate, because in tourism you depend people from outside to come in. But in other business, things were just normal. They took measures like keeping distance and washing hands before going in, maybe sanitizing yourself. Yeah, some office they wouldn't allow you to go in without mask, without wearing mask, and without washing your hands outside. They should make sure you're washing your hands before entering to the same office.
Okay.
So the tourism industry that was shut down, and because it employed a lot of people in the sector, for example, hotels and everything, it employed a lot of people. So a lot of people lost their job because of the same. So this is how it affected kind of in Zanzibar. So I'm not in position to speak much about other countries in Africa, because they took different measures than us. For instance, I told you before, we did not do the lockdown. Everything was just going on as normal. But there are only certain things that we took measures to make sure we stay protected and safe from COVID-19.
Sorry to interrupt. Like, we in a different continent, we are very curious to know how the people are managing different countries. With that perspective, I just asked the question about how African countries are managing with this. Thanks for your.
Hello, sorry. Sorry.
We were just curious about how the other continents are doing with COVID-19. How the people are managing.
Sorry, I think there's background voices.
Yeah. It's because mute.
Yeah.
We have unmuted everybody. We have unmuted everyone, and
Happiness. Can you mute Happiness?
yeah. Just give me a second. Okay, we'll go for mute all, and then we can unmute one or the other. Okay, guys.
Yes.
Everyone, I'm putting every one of you on mute. The one who has a question can raise their hand, as the Nigel did in between, and we can unmute you. Or the one who wants to talk can unmute themselves and talk. So we are going ahead with the questions. We want to take questions and other discussion from the participants and other panelists. So yes, Mr. Satya will take on from here.
Yes, as see, we are all having this discussion on the COVID-19. So does anybody have any questions, to ask the panelists or to ask the people on the show? This is the time for you to ask questions.
So yeah, Nigel has a doubt. Okay, Nigel, I have unmute you.
Yeah, well, I think from the discussion, you all can hear me properly?
Yes, Nigel.
Yes. I can't recall exactly who was saying it, but I think it was Kosa who was saying, or Victor, I'm not sure, one of the two, who mentioned that the government introduced loans, SME loans for small businesses
Okay.
in order to for them to like sustain their business. And I just wanted to clarify as to like I've heard the discussion and they said that mostly the economy, although has been affected, business was as usual as compared to our country who was not business as usual for about 3 months. And we found that I think from Maldives, he said that the banks also introduced monetariums, which we also did, whereby people who had loans, business who had loans, did not really need to pay. Individuals had 3 months, businesses had 6 months. And lately, post COVID, we are seeing that banks, they are not really in a position to offer loans, which in my opinion, I don't understand why exactly, because the country, in my view, is still going on as normal, despite we don't have tourism. Yes, I understand there's a lack of foreign exchange, but I believe mostly all businesses are operating as normal. So whoever mentioned that the the government is still giving loans, I just want to understand from their perspective, how does it work? And if yes, they are giving, do they see it as something that affects the economy or benefits the economy? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Nigel, to put in, summarizing, you want to know how these loans are, helping them out.
Yeah, even in India, the same thing.
Yes.
The government, the central bank, gave some stimulus packages to Mr. SMEs, and in order to create demand on the economy. And according to the government opinion, the government says that this is going to give some liquidity to the economy. Yeah.
Yes,
And when money is given to the small scale industries, and that can make them alive for some time. Yeah. And they can operate when everything is going to come to normalcy.
Yes.
And they can sustain the employees. They are not going to throw the employees out.
Okay.
But in India, due to the more population and more industries compared to all these nations, it's a very big the task. Yeah. Very difficult in our economy. But the government is supposed to make sure that the stimulus packages of the central bank or maybe the government, it reaches the needy of the time.
Okay. I saw someone by name Afshan as the ID. He had raised a hand. So, Mr. Afshan, you have any question? You wanted to talk or add something? Yes, you are unmute.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to say that to Nigel.
Yes.
Yeah, that in our country, the stimulus package they're giving loans to the SMEs, and as of yet, there are no difficulties getting any loans approved, I think. So I also don't understand why that would affect the loans.
Okay, let me brief up again, Mr. Nigel, and then here the question is, their countries are performing well. It is the tourism and one part of the economy which has been affected. And as a whole, the economy is performing well and businesses are running. And these two gentlemen wants to know why the government has come up with the policies of giving additional loan and helping these businesses when in general economy is good. And we have last 3 minutes of the session. So yes.
So now I have to thank because for making this particular program a successful one. I thank individually to Abdul Razak. Thank you very much, brother. Great to have you on the show, and I hope to see you again with some more discussions.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I also want to add something here.
Yes, please, Abdul Razak. Yes, go ahead.
I wanna say thank you to everyone that who has participated and who have organized, especially you. You guys, it's an amazing thing. Not only as a talk show about COVID-19, but also like I had a chance to meet my long time friends. You know, my old friends from Mysore, like Niger and Dami, of course. So it was really great, and yourself and Mr. Bilal and the other panelists. So thank you so much. It was really amazing, and I'm looking forward for more and more other, other programs too.
We are looking also forward to meet you gentlemen again on this show, and we want to take these topics up. So, Mr.
Yes.
Satya.
Thank you all. Thank you all the panelists. I thank Nigel. Yeah, I thank Nigel, and he was very busy during the weekend, and I made him to be on the show. And thank you very much for sparing your precious time. And you skipped enjoying with your family, and you were part of this particular discussion. Thank you very much, Nigel. And thank you very much from our side.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
And sorry to disturb your normal routine of the weekend.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's been a pleasure. Yes, yeah. Anyways, can I just add something before last real quick?
Yeah, we have 2 minutes to go.
Yeah. Anyways, I just want to say thank you, and next time maybe we can make a longer talk show, because this COVID-19 we have a lot more to say, a lot more to things to elaborate more on that we haven't really touched on, and I just want to say to you all, thank you so much. Stay safe.
Sorry to
thank you all.
Congratulate you for playing for your national team, football team.
Yes.
Congratulations, and the next discussion will be definitely on football.
Oh. Thank you. See you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you.
And Kosa.
Mr. Kosa?
Yes, I was saying thank you for the invitation. It was very useful, and I was able to learn many things. So it's a good idea. So keep it up. I hope that we meet one more day. I am open for invitation, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, all. And very soon we will be taking up the same question.
Thank you, Victor.
Yes, Mr. Victor.
Mr. Larian, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Change makers, thank you. I really appreciate it very much.
And we will be keeping this question, like how the economy is, going to what the panelists have raised the question, the last question. We will surely in the future be discussing about it.
Thank you very much from Maldives. Thank you, brother, for taking your.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. I thank all the participants and the panelists.
Thank you, everyone, and all the panelists.
See you all in
Thank you.
better